What is up, everybody? It's Joe from JLDB Games coming at you with another cool video back in Planet Coaster in Silver Dollar City Recreation. And when we left off, we are actually building Outlaw Run and all the pieces that go with it. If you weren't here for the last episode where I explained everything of what's kind of going on here, make sure you watch the last episode because I don't really want to completely explain it again. But basically what I'm doing is building this section of the park, and I'm going to add it into the actual park later. So if that makes sense, I'm going to kind of piece it together like a puzzle, putting it into the into the actual park itself. So I thought I figured I would start with Outlaw Run because, of course, that I had more, you know, I just know the ride a little bit better in this area a lot better since I'm there all the time. And it's quite a nice, it's quite easy to, you know, do a place that you know very well more than, you know, like the square, which I'm not very knowledgeable of how that looks. So this is a very, you know, tough project, and you know, just doing it like this, and you know, this is something that I'm very passionate about, is a project like this, and I hope it turns out the way I'm hoping, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. So this is going to be, if you haven't noticed already, it's going to be a bit of a longer episode. It wasn't originally intended for that, but you're kind of getting 2 episodes in one here. I did record twice here. This episode is full, and it goes on for about 15, maybe around 16 minutes, and it actually, I cut in the middle of the video to more footage where it kind of jumps progress and stuff as well. I did lose some footage on the way through this, and what was gonna be, you know, the episode after this is actually fused into this episode because I only had like another 20 minutes of footage, which kind of gets crammed in here as well because I can't create a full video with a 20-minute clip, you know, unless I did it like real time or something. So that was kind of a issue, and there's some progress that got lost, unfortunately, but hopefully it wasn't a whole lot, but so you'll see in later down the road of how much we lost. So pretty much what I get started on this video a lot is the extended queue line, which is kind of a tricky thing as well because, you know, I'm going to actually have real queue line in there, an actual queue line in there that's actually going to swerve around. It's quite difficult to actually get in there properly, you know, because it's going to be covered up and actually covered by, and I'm going to be using like custom rails and stuff, and it's covered by the kind of the concrete slabs and stuff that I have throughout the building as well. Now this is just a temporary roof on this section as well, because it's actually more of like a tent roof. It's not like a fully built roof in that extended queue, and it actually is kind of like a tent, and I still don't know what I'm going to do yet, so it's kind of just a placeholder for right now to kind of get an idea of where it's all going to be. So this is hopefully, I don't know how many episodes this is going to take, but I really got into this and recorded all this footage in one day. So like the episode before this, I even recorded in all at the same time. So all this footage was actually recorded in the same time, these first 2 episodes of Outlaw Run. So and as for the extended queue that's way over there, it's gonna have it's not covered, and it actually has like a wood chipped area. I'm gonna try and figure out and see if I can't find a texture that would work well out there. Maybe I can find something in the foliage and just sink it down and make it look kind of like a wood chipped area, which is going to be kind of tricky. It's tricky enough just trying to get the basic outline of the queue line itself. And if you know, like any realistic parks, they actually have like different sections that they can open and close in every spots, you know, depending on how long the line is. And Planet Coaster, they don't actually have that option, so I'm gonna make that option look like it's there, but it's not gonna actually exist, if that makes sense. Like, it won't be actually functional, but I'm gonna try and make it look like there's chains opening the extended queue, because extended queue is going to be open no matter what, obviously, because all that queue line has to be used. Or I could literally make the queue line shorter and you know, just make all the extra queue, you know, not real at all. But I kind of want to make it out there because with the priority pass actually goes alongside the outdoor extended queue back here where you're actually seeing right now. The priority pass goes back there and it has its own separate entrance in real life. So I have an idea of how this is going to look and work for the game, so we'll see how it works out. But my plan is the section where it goes outside, that's still towards the entrance, towards the front of the entrance, and I was going to connect it right there because it actually goes by the pathway. You know, the pathway is literally right next to the priority pass, or Trailblazer pass in this instance for Silver Dollar City terms, and actually goes around there. I'm going to make it to where it connects right there and goes around, but visually it's probably, I'm going to make it look like it has a separate entrance, but it won't actually be like that in, you know, the actual pathways the way they're built themselves, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but you'll probably see over time. Once we get there, we'll get there. I'm going to have to redo these paths anyways, so when I, you know, take these pieces out, you know, the buildings, and put them in the actual build them, it's the actual save itself, those I'm gonna have to redo the pathing and everything because the paths aren't gonna be included in this. So I wanted to make sure I had it anyways because I wanted to see how well the path would actually fit in this anyways, and use them as a guide for all my railings and stuff, obviously. So I wanted to make sure I had them all, and I should have put the railings on at the beginning and then take them out later. And that's kind of why I had to move everything over to try and get the paths in there. And then I realized afterwards, like, I should have just added the railings on it so I could see where the paths were mostly, rather than trying to guess where everything was. And I wasn't very smart in that regard, but I figured it out in the end, so it's okay. It's okay. We got through it. And yeah, so, and actually in this episode, since you know, we have kind of an extra episode tacked on to this one, at least the last 20 minutes of an episode, of the next episode anyways, we actually do get a little bit into the station and the lift hill itself. We don't really get much in the design of the coaster, but I'm taking this very seriously, and I'm like, every inch of the coaster needs to look perfect, and that's kind of like the way I'm treating this section of the park. It needs to look perfect. This is a big coaster, the biggest ride, you know, the most important ride in the park, because this is what everyone's going to be looking at in the recreation a lot, is Outlaw Run, because it is the big ride in the park that, you know, and, you know, everyone's going to expect this to be good. And so I'm never going to be satisfied, you know, with this, so I need to make sure I'm always, you know, beating up myself like, oh, I can make this look better and I can make this look better. I'm taking a lot of time, and I'm trying to have a lot of patience with this, and I'm very, since I'm so ecstatic and excited about this project, you know, I've you know, worked on it without, you know, actually getting bored, because I've actually been very excited, like, oh, I made this look like this, and like it does in real life, and that's actually really cool. You know, obviously everything's gonna have inaccuracies and recreations. You can't get every single piece exact, you know. And I was going through for this fence actually, going through a lot of different things and a lot of different options, and I couldn't find anything properly because these rails are just, or these wooden beams are a little bit too big than what they are in real life, and it's the best thing I could find. If I could just find that beam like that I'm using right now, if I can just find a small, slightly thinner version of that, like in the slightest, it would be perfect. But in this case, I couldn't really go with anything else, and I even looked through everything, scenery and building parts and all, you know, and they kind of have like this crookedness to them. There's 3 of them, and I stay true to that and keep 3 in there. And then after a while, I actually realized that I made them a little bit too tall, and I do end up lowering these down and eventually. As you can see I'm going through all these different options, and I was like, well, which one looks better than the other ones, and this one is a little bit inactive and accurate, but again, and also these poles right here, they're actually meant to be round. But the square ones, actually were a better size, but if they had that size with a round pole, it would have been perfect, but they don't really have that. I could have used the round ones, but those were a little bit too thick, and I think the square ones work out a little bit better anyways, so that's how that's going to play out. Now, as for like the stagecoach out front, I do want to get into that, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet. I'm going to have to... there's actually some wheels in there that I can use and stuff like that, and I'm just going to have to be real creative and try and make a proper stagecoach as best as I can. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard, and again, I'm going to have to break these buildings up into pieces and make sure that none of them have more than 2,000 pieces, or more than 2,000 pieces, otherwise you won't be able to save the blueprint properly, and I won't be able to get into the park the way I want. So I'm gonna probably, and if I do get into the case where I'm over 2,000 pieces, you can split them up, and I'm just gonna have to make it kind of like a puzzle almost, and I'll put the pieces together when the time is right. So at least that's the mindset and how I'm gonna go, and I hope it turns out really good. So I hope everyone seems to be enjoying this series as much as I am, so I can't wait to get further into it, into some other rides and stuff like that. And I probably shouldn't have started Outlaw Run first because it's in the very back of the park. I should have started with something like Thunderation first, but this is the one I'm excited about, and I don't need as many reference photos for, because again, I know this section of the park better than any other section in the park itself. There's a couple things I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, I could probably make that a little bit better, and I think I will eventually, but just give it time, and this will start shaping up to look really, really good, and I really truly believe that. This is the part where we get into a little bit of the fences, and it's a little bit of a long stretched out part that I tried to get right, and had a mini trial and error here trying to get this right, because the railings on the inside are just slightly different, and I didn't realize that at first, and then I finally realized it and made a change. After I realized it a couple of times, I was like, something doesn't look right. I was looking at the reference photo and I was like, wait, no, the railing's just a little bit different. It only has one rail going across, and then it has kind of like this little like pointy piece at the top too. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to make that, and then I kind of messed around with it, and I actually rotated the same exact piece and rotated it to where the pointing part is up, and it actually turned out to look really good. So as you can see here, I started placing this down, and I didn't realize that until after I tried it, and then I go back, delete everything again, and place it again. As you can see, this is where I do it, and it actually has that pointy part, and it actually looks really good, because that's actually what it looks pretty close to what it actually is. And then I realized that this railing's just a little bit too tall, so I do end up lowering it down in the end as well, when all said and done. So it's kind of an interesting thing, and I hope it turns out all together very well overall, and I think it is going to. Like, I have high hopes, yeah. So this is easy. This is kind of an easier part, actually, and in my opinion. Getting this queue line piece, or this extended queue line's not too hard, because you have these railings, and that's about it that you have to worry about. Also, lighting is going to be important as well. Once we get some lights in, we're gonna focus on that a little bit as well. And I think maybe in the next episode I might try and work a little bit on the outside of the entrance, and work a little bit, with the try and maybe build a stagecoach and something like that. Maybe get the gift shop going as well, and maybe possibly get that nice and cool, because I'm planning on having the gift shop as well, because that's also where the exit is of the ride. And I might even put like an actual interactive shop on the inside of there, where guests can actually buy stuff and something that's interactive. You know, as for the interior of the gift shop, I don't know if I'm going to really have anything. I might try and make it look like a gift shop a little bit, but I don't know if I'm going to do too much for interior. Within the parks, this park in general, you know, I'm going to have mostly exterior stuff to worry about. The interior is going a little extreme. If I can, I will. But as for over here, we have the there's actually a sign right here that's actually really cool, kind of a little themed sign, talking about stagecoaches and stuff like that. I can't really put the image up there. Again, I wish you could put billboards in where you can import your own pictures, because then I could literally go to the place, snap a picture, and actually crop it out the way I needed to, and actually import it into the game. That would be so nifty, and to import your own custom images would be huge in the game, especially if you could even use it for possibly textures if they do it properly. That would be actually really cool too, where you could import your own textures and stuff. It would really open up the game, and that's just another suggestion I have, you know, just custom billboards with custom images, and maybe even let us import some custom textures for certain things, you know, as long as they're work properly. I know it's a lot to work on, but I think that it could be a huge step in the right direction for this game if they choose to go in that direction. So over here, there's actually a fan over here. I'm actually debating whether to change this a little bit, but this is actually kind of where the cut is about to come from, you know, this amount of progress, and it switches to a lot done here in just a moment. This was actually supposed to be the end of this episode, and then we have a little bit extra on the end of the following episode. As you can see, the stations here, I worked a little bit on the bottom piece right here at the station, and this is actually where I get a little bit into working on the lift hill and stuff, which I actually off screen after this episode ended, I actually messed with the lift hill a little bit, because I've actually been a little paranoid of the angle of the lift hill, because I want to make sure the proportion of everything is correct, and it's kind of interesting, you know. I really wish I could change the trains on this ride as well, because I want the RMC custom trains on the wooden coaster, because I wish that was available, but unfortunately it's only available on the steel coaster, which I could make the ride a steel coaster, the steel hybrid, but I'm kind of against that. I want to keep it the wooden coaster, and even though the only difference is that wooden stack and obviously the train, but I think it's important to keep the ride the way it is, to make sure it is a wooden coaster and stuff like that. So then I wanted to make sure I added the brake run at the end as well. I kind of want to work back and forth between the front and the back to try and make the ride the right proportion as possible. I think that's going to be very important, you know, to go from here and then maybe even make the barrel roll from the back. That way it'll be a little bit, I think it will be a little bit easier to connect overall if I do it that way. That way the ending isn't just real janky kind of and awkward and stuff like that. But I did work a lot in the station section, as you will be able to tell here. I actually created a little bit where the clock section is going to be, that little prop section. I wish there was kind of like a nice fence I could use for that, but I might explore a little bit later. I actually use the ladders and stuff for that section for right now. And then of course I wanted to make sure, because the operator's booth is actually lifted up a little bit, so it's going to be kind of hard to create that a little kind of. I might even enclose this to where the operator's not even seen, so I can make it a little bit more realistic looking, even though there wouldn't be an operator in the operator's booth, because it's actually raised up a lot higher than that on the actual ride. But I kind of leave it at this for right now, and I got a plan on making the bridge over the lift hill as well, over the little first dip, and I'm going to make a custom, you know, kind of pathway for that as well, and add the pathway afterwards on that, and that would actually be really cool. So I wish you could have, you know, the the lift hill with the catwalks on both sides. I wish you had the option to put the catwalk on both sides, because this coaster in particular, not all RMCs, most RMCs don't actually, but this RMC has the catwalks on both sides and actually has like metal catwalks rather than the wooden catwalks. So I kind of wish that was an option as well, to be able to add, you know, catwalks on either side of the ride, one side or the other, or have it on both. That is a option I really hope they add in the future. And you never know what's gonna come in, you know, April and stuff. And I was actually having some issues here a little bit with the pathway, and I need to stop focusing too much on the pathway, because that's gonna be all gone anyways, and I'm gonna have to repath it anyways in the future. But I need to really focus more on the design of the slopes and stuff, kind of custom wise and stuff like that. So that will be cool. And possibly in the next episode or two, we're going to be working on a little bit of the layout of the coaster itself. We're going to have to work with the terrain a lot more, because obviously the terrain is crazy around Outlaw Run. It has a 107-foot lift, but the drop is 162 feet. So it adds on nearly 60 feet of, you know, drop to it. You know, even it goes over or goes down an actual natural hillside, which is actually really awesome and really cool. So anyways, this is actually the most success I think I've had recreating an actual station of a ride, and actually recreating a ride in general. I think it's working quite well, and actually I can't wait to see the final product. And hopefully it won't take too much episodes to finish Outlaw Run, but I might even have a little bit of a video. I'm thinking about also doing Wilson's Farm with the giant swing as well over here, while I'm at it, because it's already over there, you know. Make the high-low silos, which I'm going to make those out of scenery rather than actually having an operating ride, because that ride's not available in the game. But I will be able to make the barn swing and stuff like that, so that'd be really cool. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll catch you guys next time. Have a great day and an even cooler tomorrow, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys are enjoying. Thank you guys so much, and goodbye.